What's going on? Welcome to my next video. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to draw muscles again, and I will be ending this with a drawing of Biscuit Oliva from the Baki series. So first I'm going to start off doing a typical warm-up pose, and I'm also using figurosity for this, and links down below for that also. And also don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. Now I wanted to start off with a warm-up pose because it's usually when I'm doing characters or drawing full-on character designs or pictures, I like to start off with like a warm-up design of a kind of a general idea of how the character is going to look to kind of get you warmed up for drawing that particular pose. And since Biscuit is a pretty heavy giant sized character with giant sized muscles, I wanted to kind of warm up a little bit for creating that type of character or drawing that character. And that's why when I create these shapes, the shapes are thicker than usual, and I also chose a pose which have a pretty decent size on them, even though the Biscuit is pretty like even more muscular, like to an extreme. And I'm just using the pose as kind of a way to find out where to place the muscles, so when I'm drawing the pose I can kind of exaggerate the muscles a little bit more, throwing a little bit more detail into it, and figure out where the shading would go in different areas. And right now I'm inking it, and I'm just adding in a lot of details, because you know in the Baki series or in the manga, when in those drawings all the muscles are defined a lot more than what the pictures will usually show, because usually when you're drawing for muscles, a lot of muscles you can't really see. And when you're drawing comics and things like that, a lot of muscles that you normally wouldn't see are showing more. And in this particular series, like a lot of muscles are showing in a whole lot of different areas, almost as if there's no skin on the body, pretty much. So right now I'm just adding as much detail as I can, trying to warm up a little bit, and just messing around with it. Because I mean, this the warm up stage. You don't have to get too detailed. You just you can throw in as much detail as you want, you know, how long you want to warm up or how far you want to go. All right, finishing up the neck, adding in some more to his arm. And now for this next one, I'm drawing Biscuit, and since I'm adding a lot of detail to this, so it's gonna be pretty much a longer video for this half, and I'm pretty much doing it the same way as the first pose, except this time I made his body way thicker. I expanded his chest, center line to find out where the chest is going to be, the triangle for the head using the Yoshitomi method. And right now I'm just adding detail to the face. I wanted to add detail to the face first before I got to the rest of the body, only because I wanted to kind of just get the face down, and then after I got the face down, then I'll kind of know where to place the rest of the body, because his head is real small and the body is real big, and at least when I have this head done, I can kind of get away with and expand his body bigger if I wanted to. So I was kind of satisfied with how big his body is now, so I just went along with what I had. Now as I'm drawing his muscles, I'm curving everything. All the muscles, he has a whole lot of curvature in his body, so I'm just curving all the muscles, like curving the shoulders, curving the biceps, his triceps, his forearms, and just curving it all in there. And he's a pretty interesting character, and I know that the character is actually based off of a real person, and a lot of Baki characters are based off of real people. As far as him, I think Mike Tyson was even in there. I think who else was in there? It was Tyson, and a few boxers in there too. Well, Muhammad Ali's son, even though he didn't really have a son, I know he had a daughter, but I guess he had a son in there called Muhammad Ali Jr., even though that fight didn't really last long. Baki kind of laid it down to him. But it's interesting how the show takes a lot of known characters in real life and then put them in the show as these fighters fighting the fictional characters. So right now I'm adding in the pin detail, sharpening the lines, and usually that's why when you see the first pose, lines are pretty jagged because I'm not really focusing on anything, and then when I'm doing the actual picture, I'm more steady with the lines. So right now I'm doing the shading, and as I do with my previous shading, I always do a base first, which is a lighter shade, depending on the value. For this one I went with a darker shade, not too dark, but just enough. But I always have that base shade first. So I'm adding in the base color, or the base gray, overlaying on different parts, and then I'll leave areas that I think the light will reflect off of, and keep it white. And I'm also going off a reference too, so reference have it shown one way, and then I'm showing it this way, and I'm adding in a little bit more than what the reference is showing for this character. Adding in more tones, finish up the base shade, and I can stop right here with the base shade. You don't really have to keep going. I mean, depending on the style of the comic you're doing, but I wanted to add a little bit more, so I'm following the reference, adding in more darks to it. And it's kind of an easier way when you're using markers and you're trying to keep your markers from streaking. And the best way to keep your markers from streaking is to you're adding a lot of layers. The more layers you add, the less streaks you have, and you also have to make sure you have good paper for it, because if you have paper that's real flimsy, then your marker would just, the more layers you add onto it, the more your paper would start tearing, and then you just it won't hold good. So you always have to get paper that's good enough to hold your markers, because you're adding layers over top of layers. It's kind of like painting almost. That's why these markers, I think right now I'm using the brush markers, and to me they're the best markers, because it's almost the same as painting, but you're just using markers. So I'm adding in more shades, and then as I'm gradually progressing through the drawing, I'm adding darker and darker markers to it. Right now I'm adding the outline with a black marker, just to define the shape a little bit more. And if you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. All right, take care.